What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. And in today's video, we have the weekly training recap for last week, as always. And it was a good week. It was definitely a very good week. Again, we had the upwards trend of intensity rising, and then we had the upwards trend of volume as well. So total workload was rising, and I also was able to add on and tack on everything to my accessory work. So, all accessory work was able to be increased. Again, on my dumbbell inclines, I was able to increase those as well on the Wednesday PM session, so the Wednesday night session, which was good. And overall, I'm just feeling really, really good about things, and I'm feeling pretty confident with how things are going. Again, you may not have noticed, but I have brought my squat stands back in completely by accident and unintentionally. I wouldn't say by accident, but unintentionally. As between the World Championships and the British, my squat stance was kind of working itself wider and wider and wider. And I feel to my disadvantage, so I was able to, I've brought it back in, and I feel that my depth consistency, rep consistency, and also my knee tracking has all improved pretty massively. Again, you probably could notice by my knee tracking definitely is improving. Again, knee tracking is something I've always dealt with. It not really being up to par with what I believe it should be. Again, I know there's a lot of talk about knee tracking and is knee valgus bad. What knee valgus is basically caving of the knee. And I've got a few opinions of it. I think a very, very minor knee valgus or very controlled knee valgus isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I think knee valgus without intentionally doing it definitely is a bad thing from a few points. I think first of all, it's it's not an efficient way for your knees to be, so it's an inefficient movement, and it's making your movement less efficient as a whole. On top of that, I do feel it as an injury risk. I don't feel it's an injury risk in the sense of I don't really think you're going to blow your knee out or anything like that, but what I do think is what it tends to show is it tends to show that your hip flexors and your adductors are overly tonic which basically means they are shortened and too tight. And because they are so tonic, they are neurally inhibiting your glutes. And by neurally inhibiting your glutes, then that causes some knee valgus. And what I feel that can do is cause quite a bit of shearing force on your hips, and it can cause some inflammation and some pain in your hips. And it can also really, really beat up your vastus lateralis. So your vastus lateralis is your is the outer muscle in your quad, and a big role of the vastus lateralis is knee stabilization. So it tends to work overtime, and it can cause a lot of problems. And again, I am speaking from experience. My knee valgus caused a pretty absurd amount of hip pain, so minor hip bursitis, and screwed my vastus lateralis up, leading up to the World Championships. And obviously, it just been an accumulation effect from the years of squatting, so it's something I'm always trying to improve. But again, as Ben Rice always says, further from finished. There's always more to do. As every cycle goes on, I'm finding myself being further and further and further away from being finished, which is a really good saying. I really, really like it. So yeah, that's one thing. Sumo deadlifts are actually going surprisingly very well. I'm finding conventional deadlifts more and more difficult. Obviously, the first British Championships that I ever won was in 2015. And I deadlifted 700 pounds. I deadlifted 317 and a half. And, since then, deadlifts really haven't done a whole lot. I've pulled 322 and a half in comp since. But, they've not done a whole lot, and they've not felt very great. But, my bench is, and staying in the same weight class, my bench has been up, 15 kilos. My squat's up almost 40 kilos. My deadlift's up 5. I'm finding conventionals being a little bit stubborn. The bigger that I get, the more I'm struggling to get into position. And I'm really, really enjoying sumos, so I'm not necessarily saying that I will be making the switch to sumos, but it's something that I'm going to keep progressing sumos and just see where they lead. And we can take it from there. So here you're seeing the second last day. And I did my best trying to get as much footage for this training weekly recap as possible. Again, only got one set because, quite frankly, you know, the amount of sets I'm doing, it would make the video probably about 30 minutes long, and it would just make it pretty boring, or more boring than what it currently is. As I know, watching training footage may not be the most exciting thing for everybody, but it's good for me to track my progress, and it's good for you if you like watching this. Bench, again, is something I'm really enjoying. Bench has been going from strength to strength. And again, here, with the deadlifts, again, 270 for a 4x4. It wasn't moving bad. It feels a wee bit weird. Again, I don't know where I am in my head a little bit too much or not. But it is what it is. And then again, on the final day, I did front squats, close grip bench, and stiff-legged deadlifts, but only got the front squats in film. Again, on front squats, if you struggle to get into a front rack position, and you don't like a crossover position, if you've got a safety squat bar, I would highly recommend using a safety squat bar. It has really saved my front squats. And here, I have 110 kilograms of bar weight, and the safety squat bar weighs 27.5 kilograms. So this is 137.5 kilos, which is the most I've ever front squatted in my life. I did that for 4 sets of 5, all at RP7. So thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.